Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom's back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of Overrated or Overpowered. This is part 2 of the series and you guys really enjoyed the first episode, so I'm really happy to see that. Thank you so much for the positive reviews on that, and that's why we're back with a part 2. Now, this time we got some comments of people saying that they wanted to see some specific cars for part 2, and like I said, I was going to do a part 2 anyway, but I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it, so maybe we'll do a part 3 as well. So we're gonna do another 9 cars in part 1, 9 cars in part 2. Let me know if you want to see a part 3 and what cars I may have missed out. So let us begin. The car that I think most people called for was the Mitsubishi Triton Absolute, and rightly so. This car is very, very strong. I mean, many times I've said this already, guys. Handling is everything. The 0 to 60 couldn't care less. Top speed couldn't care less. Handling is everything when it comes to the off-road meta, and that is what the Triton Absolute provides. So immediately we just jump into it. As you can see, it wins everything. Literally everything. It beats the Hummer H2s, the SUT SUVs, the Mercedes-Benz 280, the Mitsubishi RVR. Basically, against every single off-roader, it wins against. So it's very, very, very strong. Moving on in, ice and sand and snow, it literally is the same situation. Nothing beats this. It's actually crazy. So yes, it's pretty obvious. The Mitsubishi Triton Absolute definitely is Blossom choice. It is the best in everything. It is the off-road meta, and this is a car that you definitely want to collect 5 of. All right, moving on to the next car that I want to talk about. This one I think went under people's radars a little bit, and that is the RQ30 Mazdaspeed Familia. It is a saloon, it's a 5-seater, it handles pretty well, relatively low 0 to 60, and has medium ground clearance. So how good is this car exactly? Well, for the Mazda Familia, as you can see, it is the best possible car for the city streets and the city streets medium, or the city streets small and the city streets medium. But it doesn't seem to excel anywhere else when it anywhere else. Wow. Why was that so hard to say? But yeah, it doesn't seem to excel anywhere else with car park, G-force, hairpin, indoor karting, none of that. But it's really good in the canyon tour, and it's really good in the city streets. And as you can see, I'm not just comparing it to RQ30s. I'm comparing it to a handful of RQ31s, and even an RQ32 in the Dodge Neon. That being said, as you can see, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm gonna put it up against, yes, the Chevrolet Lumina, right? The Chevrolet Lumina is currently the Blossom choice car to beat, and when the Chevrolet Lumina comes into comparison, then the Mazda Familia doesn't win anything anymore. It's the second best, right, for a city street small and medium, and I think second best for the canyon as well. But yeah, the moment the Lumina comes into play, the Lumina just becomes like the best car. So unfortunately, I don't think the Mazda Familia is going to be Blossom choice, but it gave the cars a run for its money. So overall, I'll say this. For low RQ, medium ground clearance rares, it is the second best, and it still is great value. But the problem with it is that, no matter what happens, I would always go 1 RQ more and choose the Lumina, because it truly is the true Blossom choice, the true heavy hitter, the true bargain. That being said, though, in my opinion, the Mazdaspeed Familia is slightly above average. Definitely, if you cannot use an RQ31, if you really must only use an RQ30, then the Mazdaspeed Familia is going to be your best option to use. So it definitely is good, definitely above average, but it's not like game-breaking next Blossom choice or anything like that. Moving on, third car is the Mitsubishi Outlander 2.0. It was Lee that suggested this car to us, and yeah, 4-wheel drive set of tires, and it handles pretty damn well, but how well does it actually perform? So moving on to our first comparison, and as you can see, it is very, very definitive. It is the best car for the city streets medium, car park, G-force, karting circuit, twisty circuit rolling, twisty road, Monaco G-force, and mountain twisty road. It trades a little bit of blows with the electric shadow, not that much, and the Suzuki X90 is still your best option for the slalom. And I think that is due to weight and width and length or whatever, due to its dimensions. But yeah, the Mitsubishi Outlander 2.0 turbo diesel is definitely becoming the new meta when it comes to, standard tires, when it comes to the wet, rare meta. Now, moving on, we also have, just my final thoughts on the car. It is the best car for city streets, medium wet, and all twisty tracks within the comparison. So, yes, as far as things go, as it stands, I am going to consider and put the Mitsubishi Outlander 2.0 turbo diesel as a Blossom choice car, along with the Triton at the start of the video. Now, moving on to super rares, next one is the Mazda II Rally. Now, this is a car that we've never seen before, which is front-wheel drive, but also high ground clearance. We've had a couple super rare high ground clearance cars, but they're usually pickup trucks or utes or, four-wheel drive. So this is the first of its kind. It's the only high ground clearance front-wheel drive RQ49 super rare. So how well does it perform? The answer is not that well. Compared to other mono drive trains like rear wheel drive and front wheel drive, it is kind of garbage. It loses to the Fulvia in most places. It loses to the Fiat Abarth Rally, and it seems to be like the third best car, even though it is higher RQ than the 48 Fulvia and the 46 Abarth Rally. And also the Abarth Rally being able to be competitive with the Fulvia and actually beating it on twisty and tying with it on the G-force is a little bit suspect that it's RQ 46. Like, why is it 2 RQ lower than the Fulvia? I think that's too big of a gap. If anything, should be 48 and 47. Anyway, the Rally doesn't look too good, basically against, its mono drive competitors. That being said, though, against high ground clearance cars, it's a little bit more competitive. Against high ground clearance cars like the Renault Turbo and the Ram 250 and the Raider Baja, then it is the best car for the hairpin, the best car for the slalom, and the rally crosses, and the Monaco hairpin. That being said, though, it's not really fair to compete a front wheel drive with a bunch of four wheel drives, and by that logic, if I'm going to compare a front wheel drive or a rear wheel drive against a bunch of four wheel drives, then why not use another car from that niche as well? So in the next comparison, as you can see, I'm using the Fulvia instead, and it's even more dominant. The only caveat is that it does not finish on the motocross, but it's a trade that I'm willing to take any day for it to be better everywhere. As long as the event doesn't have a motocross track set, you're gonna be fine. So with that being said, the Mazda II Rally, in my opinion, is average, and for some reason the background photo decided to come back. I promise I removed the background. I don't know why it's there, but anyway, yeah, the Mazda II Rally is definitely average. I don't think it's like groundbreaking, but it's not terrible, like it's just okay. Moving on to another super rare, sorry I forgot this one, is the Mazda Monoposto. The Mazda Monoposto, a lot of people are saying is turning to be the best performance tire RQ40 car. Well, let's see, shall we? So against the twisty meta, it does seem to be the case. Against other RQ40s from APGP, even against some 42s, 41s, and even a 43, the Honda S2000, it is the best car, or it remains the best car for the hairpin, the indoor karting, the karting circuit, the twisty circuit, and the twisty road. Now that is very, very impressive. Not only is it beating out other Mazdas within its niche, it's beating out the 41 Alfa Romeo, the 42 Acura Integra in some places, and even the 42 Porsche Boxster, and even the 42 BMW Z4, which is, tied, I guess, on the karting circuit with the Monoposto. So that is very, very impressive. Now, this is all performance tires because at the moment I put in the slick tire RQ41 Peugeot, that's going to win everything. Now, moving on, as you can see, it's still relatively strong on the other twisty track sets like Monaco Hairpin, Monaco Streets Long, and the Mountain Hairpin as well. So, with that comparison, as you can see, the moment I bring in the Blossom Choice cars, right? So, congratulations to the Monoposto. It was able to beat all the RQ40s. It was able to beat 41s, 42s. And then, again, in the same scenario, then, we bring it to the final boss, basically. The final boss is how well the Monoposto can compete with Blossom Choice cars. And against Blossom Choice cars, as you can see, not that good. It still beats the 40s, like the Mazda Roadster and the MX-5. But as you can see over here, I added two Blossom Choice competitors, the Peugeot 208 and the Ginetta G40. And obviously, they are better cars. But you can make an argument argument that these cars are higher in RQ. They're also slick tires. The monoposto is twisty, yada yada yada, which is all said and true. So because of that, I will consider the monoposto to be Blossom choice. If there is space, I will put it there. But it is without saying that the monoposto definitely is Der Kaiser. It is very, very, very strong. And yes, I can say when it comes to performance tire RQ40s, it is the, if not among the best in the game for twisty stuff. So yeah, very impressive to the monoposto. All right, moving on. Ultra rare with the Hyundai Kona N. Another very interesting car, a very interesting niche, high ground clearance, front wheel drive, and it actually has really good MRA for, you know, what it is. It's an MPV basically, and it has ATMRA. So how good is it exactly? Shout out to Lee for bringing this car forward to my attention as well. Well, as you can see, that ATMRA is coming into play because it is the best car within its niche and RQ for the fast circuit and the fast circuit rolling. That being said, still isn't good on the hairpin or the karting circuit or the twisty circuit, and it's actually really, really poor on car park, on G-force, and slalom. It's actually the worst car here for the slalom. That being said, though, it is competitive for the fast circuit compared to cars within its niche. Moving on now to the next comparison is to bring it into the drag light. How good is it against dragsters? And this is where it shines a little bit more. It's good in the quarter mile. It's good in the half mile, beating, you know, really good cars like the low ground clearance Civic Type R. And we need to remember that the Hyundai Kona N is high ground clearance. It also beats cars like the Ford Focus RS, the Chevrolet Cobalt, and it even beats the RQ62 Focus RS 500 on the quarter mile and the half, which is very impressive. But obviously the Focus wins on the 1 mile and the 0 to 100 and the 0 to 120. So it's very rightly rated. I think it's in a good place as a 59 or maybe a 60. That being said, though, and here's one more comparison just to really show you how good it actually is, right? So against the best of the best, the Blossom Choice cars in the drag, it can't hold a candle. Yes, it's better than the Honda Civic Type R, which is really cool, unless it gets to 1 mile, and then the 1 mile is even worse. It beats the Hyundai Elantra, yes. And one thing that's actually pretty cool or pretty sad is that the Hyundai Kona N, as you can see, actually beats the Alfa Giulietta TCR on the quarter mile and the 61 to 59. Considering that this car used to be 64 or 63, like that's just really sad. But yeah, it can't hold a candle to the Blossom Choice cars, like the Mini John Cooper Works, as well as the Alfa Olo Delta. But it's a bit mean for me to even compare these cars because that's 59 to 62, you know what I mean? But I gotta do it anyway. The issue of the Hyundai Kona N is that the main niche about it is that it's like high ground clearance, but it's not like there's like a dry motocross track set where like high ground clearance performance tire cars are rewarded on anyway. So, you know, being high ground clearance and performance tires and getting your RQ overrated because of that high ground clearance is a little bit redundant, honestly. So, that being said, I think it's relatively average. It's slightly above average. Like it has its niches, you know. It's front wheel drive and the MRI is pretty good, and for an RQ59 it's good. But it's just not gonna be Blossom Choice. Honestly, is that really high ground clearance? I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, it's okay. It's a mid-range RQ dragster. Honestly speaking, guys, if you own this, just go 332. I know 82 handling isn't that bad, but if I had this, my first one, I'd go 332. Honestly, you would probably get more value that way. Okay, moving on. 2 more cars to go. The first one is the Epic, the Mazda 3 2.5 turbo all-wheel drive, a car that needs no introduction. It is ridiculous compared to its niche. You know, RQ70s and 69s and 66s and 68s. It's just dominant. It's just absolutely dominant. So much so that I cannot compare it to cars within its niche. I need to compare the Mazda to Blossom Choice cars and the best of the best that 4-wheel drive standard tire Epics have to offer. So in the next comparison, you can say that's a little bit unfair, you know, that I'm comparing it to 78s and 77s, blah, blah, blah. But even then, it's still the best car for the car park and the slalom. I mean, that is very impressive that it's beating cars like the DS Numero 9, the Lincoln MKZ, the Ford Fusion Sport, the Lincoln Continental Concept. Like, it's very, very impressive. But let's say we're going to bring it up a notch. We're going to really put it up against the best of the best. We're talking CT6, I-Pace. Well, here you go. Oh, wait, I didn't even put that in comparison. Oh, I thought I I thought I had a screenshot of that comparison where I was comparing the 2.5 the CT6. Yeah, I was so confident, but I guess I didn't. But to give you the short answer, against cars like the Mercedes and the CT6 and the Jaguar I-Pace, it's not as competitive, but it can get close. So because of that, it's just a highly competitive car. It definitely is a blossom choice. I mean, for RQ67, you are literally getting at least RQ76 performance. I think they flipped the numbers around, man. It ain't 67, it's 76. But yeah, the 3.5, that's blossom choice. Last but not least, we got the Hyundai Ionic 677 up in here. And this one, if you thought that the Mazda was good, oh my god, this one, oh boy. Okay, so as you can see, against the best of the best, the CT6, the I-Pace, the Mercedes E400, and even the Mazda 2.5, it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, as you can see, the Mazda 2.5, even against the best of the best, is actually the best car in slalom. But of course, I'm only comparing it against four-wheel drive center tires. The moment I put it in rear-wheel drive and I put it in the Caterham, then the Caterham is going to be the best. But that being said, though, yeah, there you go. There's your comparison about the 2.5. I knew I compared it with the best of the best. But yeah, as you can see, the Hyundai Ionic. Wow, what a car, dude. It's the best car for the city streets medium. It's the best car for the hairpin, the karting circuit, twisty road, Monaco G-force, Monaco hairpin, mountain hairpin to Monaco hairpin. And this is competing against some of the best in the game. Cadillac CT6, Jaguar I-Pace, Mercedes E400. It's very, very, very impressive. So one to watch for sure. The Hyundai Ionic, without a doubt, gets that blossom choice tag as well. It is the best in city streets medium, hairpin road, karting circuit, twisty road, the Monacos. Without a doubt, this thing is one to watch. What the Ionic is now is what the DS numero 9 used to be. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Ionic gets nerfed in the future for an even better Epic to replace it. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. I gotta say, man, with part 1 and part 2 of this series, we can truly see that APGP are bringing a lot of meta-defining cars to the game. But anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments below what you thought about the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to stay safe, wash your hands, and let me know what cars you want to see in part 3. Blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville.